We are mucus-free. 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 We are mucus-free.
What's going on, brothers and sisters? Welcome to the Mucus-free Life podcast. And it wouldn't be Mucus-free Life if we didn't have a couple little technical issues. But we are here. We're a little bit later than we said we would be, but we are here to have a great episode, a great show. Really excited to talk to our guest today, Dani. Lucky, and we'll be bringing her on very shortly. But what is going on with all of you? If you're out there, feel free to say what's up in the chat. What's going on, Pyler? How are you doing? Good evening from Philly. We got the Philly crew. Philly folks is in the house today. So things are always interesting out here in the world of pus and mucus eating. And what's going on now? So it's nice to see a little bit of resistance with these mandates, these things that are going on. I'm seeing more protest and throwing trash in the mayor's yard in New York and the Blasio. I saw a video, they're just throwing all kinds of trash in there. And since the sanitation workers aren't working right now, since they're basically saying, well, either get a shot or you can't work, they're like, well, I guess we're not going to work. And that's probably not a good idea to mess with the sanitation folks. You need to respect these folks. You messing with them, and folks are going to be really unhappy when you find out that your garbage does not collect itself. It does not take itself to the landfill. And so, that'll be good for people to learn. Because just overall, people really need to learn that and you can do that with people's resistance. I lost a little faith last year because I thought, people were just getting beat up and just taking it, just like, this is great, whatever, just going right along. Okay, face man. Okay, two weeks shut down, then 2 weeks turns into 6 months, turns into a year. Just flatten the curve. Just use the face mask. Well, we'll just get the shot. We'll just do it. It's just like, don't people study abusive, like that's like this abusive relationship that we people have with with what they call their government. That's just straight abuse, just textbook. But and my thing is fighting the abuse, fighting it and crippling it, disabling it, and then throwing that thing away and starting over again. That's where I'm at with that. But yeah, things are going to continue to be more and more interesting, because we're going to see the effects, the long-term. No one has a clue the long-term effects of what we'll call the procedure. Since if I use a different terminology for the procedure here on YouTube, that we will the video will get yanked down and might get rid of my channel, so we won't do that. But it's definitely time. I mean, for those that if you're serious about life, you're serious about living, we say physiological liberation is the key thing we need to be focused on, and then coming up with a plan. Now, at this point, we all got to sort of cluster together, come up with our individual plans, and then ultimately come together as a larger whole. But that's what's being executed on our end right now. We're at a position where we gotta work on some things in private now, and then not be broadcasting out, every little thing that we're going to do, because it's getting that serious. They're really trying to shut down anybody speaking truth and trying to be about real health, real vitality, real healing. that's getting to a point now where that's going to be illegal. It already is sort of illegal. It's like on this little gray area, and they pick and choose the people that have a lot of influence. If you have too much influence and you're talking a little too radical, they take you down, and that's where it's at right now. So we're underground, so we got a little, we're cool for a minute, but it is what it is. As Martin Luther King says, injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. And freedom is I'm all about the freedom and the peace, and they are trying to impinge on both of these right about now. And I saw this video. I want to share this thing real quick if I can bring it up. This was beautiful. This
So finally some good news.
hold on here. This is worth worth the wait here. Let me add this stream. Check this.
Kids can get the vaccine 5 and up.
So
finally some good news.
Some good news.
Kids can get the vaccine.
Kids can get the vaccine
starting next week.
Yay!
Great news. And as soon as these guys can get it too, all bets are off. You anti-vaxxers, all bets are off. All bets are off. Yeah. If I can spread it like unknowingly after that, I'm gonna sneeze on you. A lot of you. A lot of you. All bets are off because we're all done. We're all done with you. So as soon as these guys can be safe, screw the rest of you. Screw the rest of you. Because we're done. We're done. Yeah. Yeah. No more kind liberal here. Done. Sad thing is some of your kids will die, but I hope they don't. Maybe they'll just take your kids from you. That'd be good. Sad thing is
This old psychopathic, pus-eating stank, old stank looking like, hold on, I haven't got what she, I made a little video. Where did that go?
screw the rest of you.
This was what she reminded me of. She reminded me of the Joker dying, because she kind of looked like the Joker the way she was looking. She had this little look, and then she made me think it is like this could be her future, because she's trying to talk mess about everybody and take people's kids. It's like, well, it's hard to take folks' kids away when you're the one laying there dying because you got a booster shot, your 5th or 6th or 7th booster shot didn't agree with you, and then all of a sudden you end up like that. So so like Brother Air says, they shoot horses, don't they? And so okay, because we want to get rough, you want to get it like that, we okay, hey, let's roll, because like we said, I know we have a lot of pacifists that are in the community and that follow us, and namaste, peace, love, and breath, and all that kind of stuff, but we ain't the ones. Like, you don't think we're soft, please. Do not think just we're eating fruits and we want peace. Don't think that we're not, that you're just gonna come in here and take people's kids and force your little ideas, and you need this, come and get this. Like, nah, we're not the ones, but that's the level of constipation. I mean, this woman is psychopathic. Is the psychopathic therapy session. She needs a good psychopathic therapy session, and but that's what we're dealing with. I mean, we're on a world trying to cohabitate with these insane people, these pus-eating insane people that whose brains are being run by parasites. They're ridden with these parasites. They're just, and so at this point, it's gonna be an us versus them situation, where it's the pus versus the mucus-free, and it is what it is. And so that's because moving forward, it's gonna get more and more like that. Those lines are gonna get more and more precise, and you're gonna be able to see, like, okay, here's this line. And so which which side you're gonna be on. That's gonna be the question. And so brother said, Aaron said, what did I miss? You missed psychopathic woman that's on here talking about just so happy to give her, that she's able to now give her children these inoculations, and she don't have a clue what's in them. She don't know anything about them or what's going on. So, and say Tyson said she's got that demon energy. Yeah, she's got that, like, they're ready to just, like, she wishes she could be a psychopathic killer. Like, that would feel more comfortable for her, but she didn't. She whatever she's doing, and who knows, she could have a little Buffalo Bill happen, going and it's starting to come to the surface, and she could have a little bit of that. Like I said, yeah, she looks crazy. Yeah, she does, and and that is it. So real quick, I want to tell everybody about our sponsor today. And this is a product, like, I started having sponsors for the show because it really helps us out. But I only do that with things that I think everybody should have. So one thing that everybody should have is 2021. If you don't have a VPN, virtual private network, then you need to get one as soon as possible. I've been using VPN since like 2002 when I first went to college. Those things were ancient, and they only worked like half the time. But even back then, I knew and understood the importance of safety and being able to cloak. And when you got idiots like this woman that's out here, then you got to take all steps that you can to protect your data, to not be spied on, keep that encryption level up, and so that you don't need to be tracked. You don't want to be giving away your information, what you're searching. And most people don't. Why? I saw a thing where people were surprised that your private messages on these platforms, that there's people that look at them, that work for Facebook, these people are coming forward. They're talking about the work they do. And some of that work is to spy on the people. And people were so surprised, like, why are they looking at this? You don't have no presumption of privacy on these platforms. These aren't your platforms, they're theirs. And so anything you talk about in these private, on those spaces, is fair game for them to take, use in whatever in whatever way they want. So with a VPN, you at least make it a little harder for them to track you. So I'm posting down. What I use is NordVPN. It is I've used that for almost, what has it been, 9 years, 9 years. Very user-friendly interface. You click it, turn it on, and you're protected. And if you need to turn it off real quick to do something and then turn it back on, it's real easy, because that all used to be a big deal in the old VPNs. It used to be real hard to just do that, just something that was so simple. But yeah, right now that's where we are at. So if you don't have a VPN yet, and I really encourage you to get one, you help out the show, help us out a lot if you click that link, check it out. And if you purchase from them, they got wonderful prices, really good prices. You can either there's like the monthly price or the yearly price. So check that out, and up to 72% off when you get that through our link, the mucusfreelife.com/NordVPN. So now let's introduce the wonderful guest that we have on the show mutoday. Ms. Dani Lucky is a 33-year-old mother and Mucusless Diet practitioner since 2019. And she works for a union in Philadelphia doing various kinds of construction work and things like that. We'll have her talk a little bit about that. And she also loves to dance, is professional mover and shaker and dancer, and also into how to heal the body. So everybody, give it up for Dani Lucky. What's going on, Dani?
Hello, Professor Spira. Glad that we finally could connect.
yeah.
Sorry, everybody. Quite the experience.
Oh yeah. It wouldn't be a Mucus-free life show if we didn't have a little bit of issues, but we're on here now, and that's all that matters. So so tell us a little bit about kind of about your background. How did you how did you come to get into the Mucusless diet and this healing path?
Okay, so I'd say my healing journey started about 2015, where I just started to incorporate where I thought like, oh, turkey burgers was healthy, or I was just trying to figure it out. But I was going that route. Oh, eggs, and you just think like, oh, egg whites and all that nonsense. But I actually started when I used to have my Facebook, some articles that was lemon water, turmeric, things like that. And that I started juicing lemon water, warm lemon water every morning, juicing some turmeric, eating turmeric in some of my foods, and trying to just get real raw foods into my diet. And I swear that those real living things, because most of my life, everything was meat, processed. My vegetables would be microwaved, so they would be dead. In those steam bag veggie meals. So it was around 27 when I actually started trying to cook real vegetables. And I believe that triggered something. That's all I can say, because to go from there to here is a miracle to me. So I feel like it woke something up and things got rolling. And I was basically on the path of finding the Mucusless diet without even knowing it. I did find Dr. Robert Morse, and I remember reading like fruitarian, like that's insane, and then getting out of that, and then a couple months later actually going back to it and being like, wait, I think he might be onto something. So I got his book. I was following Mike Perrine on Everyday Detox. That's his Instagram, and I was listening to a lot of his podcasts, and he brought up Arnold Ehret a bunch of times. So I was like, Arnold Ehret, the Mucusless diet, like, let me read this book that he's talking about. And I went to order the book, and I believe I told you this. I went to order the book, and I saw Professor Spira's version, and I was like, someone was messing with the book. I'm going to get this one. I got the other one, and a year later, I found all your YouTube videos, and so I was basically getting into it. I had the rational fasting and the Mucusless diet, but then when I found all your YouTube videos and the podcast, I went hard on it, and I was like, all right, let me get everything. Let me get in it. And it was good because it really pushed me. I don't know anybody that's living this lifestyle that I live. So it's kind of like, I'm just like this weird outcast. Everybody thinks I'm crazy. So diving in and listening, I got to work all day, listening to podcasts, watching the YouTube videos, really got me soaring on it. And then the good old World War III happened, and
right.
I was like on the up and up, like, what? You just feel so liberated knowing that there's other people out there doing this, and you're not just like, on a whim. Like, there's this book from this man from the 1900s, and it's like, no, but he was,
right.
Yeah, and then so that's basically in a nutshell how it came about this. But I swear, putting the real live food in me, like, it turned me on. Because I've actually recently even had to put on a Facebook that I haven't been on in like 7 years. And like, it's like a reminder of growth and evolution. Like, God bless it. But at the same time, it's just like, who was I? And it makes you want to wake people up. And think I just like I purchased a bunch of Mucusless books, and when certain people I can tell, I'm like, all right, here's a book, read this,
Right.
Like, I hope it wakes you up too, but
right.
Yeah.
So I want to hear a little bit about, because we're going to go back and we'll talk a little bit about how even more some of the things that you went through when you were young and how you were able to help heal some of those things along this mucus-free path. But right off the bat, I want you to talk a little bit about the work that you do. And because a lot of people would think that it would be hard to do the work that you do, living this lifestyle. So kind of describe a little bit about what you do and how you're able to do it, practicing the diet.
All right. I love this part because it's actually the complete opposite. Everyone thinks you need like all this energy and breakfast and meat, or nah, it's the opposite. So I'm an insulator, local 14 in Philadelphia, PA. There I am. Oh, and that was a hot time over there too. You're all closed up. You had to have all that gear on. That was at a refinery called Marcus Hug. Times. But yeah, you have to be gloves on, the hard hat, pant, and it's been like 100 degrees out. So I would only drink juice on those days there because you're just so hot. So most of the time, there's a bunch of different things that we do. You can be inside through the elements sometimes, but you're either outside or inside mostly. Like last winter, I was on a roof all winter, and it was a very cold winter last winter here over on the East Coast. Lots of snow, 20 degrees almost every day, and you're just standing in snow. Oh, that was the roof last winter. Like you bring back nightmares. I was cold. Yeah, so there's like if you see, I don't know if you can back, I think that's some like the white in the left corner. There's yeah. So we cover it ends up like looking like this silver stuff, but we don't actually have to insulate that one. And we insulate things like that, even stuff like that's behind me, but that one actually didn't need to be insulated. We insulate pipes inside as well, ducts. We put duct wrap, a lot of fiberglass, a lot of itchiness. It's really itchy. Some of the labor is real hard, and then other days you're cutting. It's not too labor intensive, but I mean, at the end of the day, you're doing construction, you're in the elements. It can be a lot. And so when I know it's going to be really hot, I usually have like juice all day. And my big meal will be when I come home. Like I'll have fruit, wait a little bit, and then have a bigger meal. But it's funny because I can tell when I start eating too much cooked food, like getting up and down the ladder, walking up the one job I was at was at a condo, and I had to walk 6 flights of stairs. When I went to break, I had to walk down. When I went to the bathroom, back down the flights, all the way back up the flights. And if I eat too much cooked food, I can actually start feeling like, by the time I get to the 5th floor, I'm like, and it's just that little bit of difference from cleaning myself so much. My body just is like, no, girl, like just do a salad. And, but if I go a couple days, like I'll have like a bunch of quinoa or wild rice on my salads. I just love like warm things on salads. And if I have too much of that every day in a row, like even then I'm tired. And I look at these other guys and I'm like, how are they? I don't even know how they're okay. They get like bacon sandwiches and they're just like, you're like, what?
Yeah.
Especially through the beginnings of the pandemic, at that refinery I was at with the Orange, they ended up making us wear fire retardant masks. And you couldn't breathe at all through those things.
Wow.
They were thick because if it all are closed, like that's why you have to wear that thing. If the fire started, it has to be all fire retardant. But the fire retardant mask, it was like 100 degrees outside. Yeah.
Wow. So that's so I don't want to hear nothing from anybody when they're complaining about like, oh, I can't. It was like, Dani's out there, doing, eating, on the transition diet, and here in the doing this work.
Yes, and I want to take time to do a longer juice fast. But I started cleaning out so easy on a juice fast that my longest was only 8 days. I got to 8 days, and then I knew that my next day was going to be a lot of work, and I was going to be up on a big ladder and doing, and I was just got to break the fast because, I can't really, trust that that's going to be all right. But so it's like I even juice fast. I just have to do short ones in and out to make sure I'm good for my job. But yeah, no excuses.
Yeah. That's what's up. So let's talk a little bit about growing up and some of the trauma that you went through, and sort of holding on to that, not really finding the remedy to be able to to deal with that until more recently when you found this path?
Yes. So I'm so fired up and passionate about this way of life. Just nature, the healing. I mean, even to just standing outside and being near a tree. Like if you just say, you just forget all the food part, just being in nature alone. But then you think of all the gifts of the food and the healing, and it's just a miracle to be where I am today as a woman and as a mother, just purely on nature. And growing up was real rough. My dad was a truck driver. My mom was a stay-at-home mom, but she was in a blues band. She played lead guitar. And my dad turned out to be quite the alcoholic. And we ate, basically, I wasn't breastfed. Both my parents smoked cigarettes. My mom quit when I was just a couple years old, though. My dad still continued to smoke. We ate canned string beans, anything out of a can, all those TV dinners, all the Stouffer's dinners, oatmeal. I know like my mom started getting real big on like everything grains. So it was like those Nutri-Grain bars, just processed everything. And I grew up in a home where there was just a lot of mental illness and a lot of self-hatred and drinking. My mom didn't drink though. She didn't. And like I said, she quit smoking, and she actually was to the point when I was younger, she was trying to cut out meat, and my dad was not having it. So I'll never really know what was wrong with my dad, because he was a very kind and loving gentleman. And then he, like Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, if you could put it that way. And with his passing when I was 19 and his transition out of this life, I never want to speak ill of him. So as I speak, it's just coming from what I experienced. And I believe that this diet and this way of life could have healed him completely. So he got a lot of issues started taking him out on me around when I was like 12 is when things started really shifting in the house. And my sister had a lot of problems, couldn't go to school, couldn't talk to people. And excuse me. And my mom dealt a lot with them all the time. There was not much time for me because she was dealing with my dad's mental problems and my sister's. And I remember going and reaching out to her and saying, like, I need help. Like, I just didn't want to do life anymore. I felt just so out of place. I didn't like school. I always had anxiety. So my mom did what she knew, and she sent me to a psychiatrist. And I was 12 years old at the time. And they put me on Klonopin, which is a benzodiazepine similar to Xanax. I don't know if anybody watching knows about Klonopin, but it's similar to Xanax, and it's very addictive. And they gave me about 120 of those a month at 12 years old. And I would steal beer from my dad and cigarettes. And at this point, I was always just trying to leave the house because I didn't want to be there, because my dad would come, take out most of his anger and problems out on me. So I would leave and I would get McDonald's, and that was basically my meal for the day. And I found myself like that, addicted to these things. I never had I never regulated my nervous system. I never coped with anything. No one said, oh, this girl should be taken out of the home. And I was taught that if it's just too bad, just numb it at 12. And the ride on that was just insane. I was so addicted to them. Like even before I graduated, it was, I needed them constantly. And they just would keep giving me more, because I would say, well, I can't sleep at night. I'm not sleeping too good. And they would just say, oh, okay. And they just write you a script, see you for 5 minutes, and then send you on their way. They had me on antipsychotic medicine. And mind you, like I was the happy, bubbly, hyper kid in the home. Like I was just full like, and without a question, just, like nothing about my dad or what's going on. It's just like, oh, bipolar. That was the write-off. 12 years old, eating nothing but processed sugared foods and meat, stimulants, smoking cigarettes, drinking. Oh, she's being abused. And she's bipolar. So I would just take handfuls of those. I remember researching them and said they were like for schizophrenics and things of that nature. And I was like, oh my God. And I would take a bunch and I would sleep for like 2 days straight. If I got up, I'd take some more and I'd fall asleep. And yeah, that was my childhood at 12 years old. So getting into that, still not eating right, drinking more. Things just kept getting worse going into high school. I didn't want to show up anymore. I ended up in a partial program for kids that like refused to go to school or were bad or had mental problems. Just basically so my mom wouldn't get in trouble.
Right.
Me not going to public school.
Right.
Yeah, but I didn't feel like I fit in, and that's just it just I feel like even to this day, the rewiring of my nervous system is such a project on so many levels. Like I just feel like those things in your brain, prescriptions for, I mean, I'm against prescriptions in general at this point, knowing what I know about how it can be healed, but the mental prescriptions, it's a sin. Like if I just want to fight it. The whole thing. I think it's just, it will warp you and all your sense of your mind. It's like someone could have just said, like, take this girl outside. Like, how much does she poop? You know, like the girl pooping. Like, does she feel safe at night? Like none of that. Just here you go. 5 minutes off with your pills. Figure it out. So I ended up having severe like hormone and like menstrual issues when I was in 9th grade. So I ended up getting like my period in 9th grade and it wouldn't go away for like 5 months. I didn't tell anybody. I was like bleeding. It was just a nightmare. And then when I finally did say something, they were just like, oh, here. And then they gave me birth control. So now I'm on birth control, hormones, and now my mood's just rocking, you know?
Right.
Yeah.
So basically they got you on drugs. just literally.
Yes.
Yeah.
12 years old, no coping skills, not just boom. Like just basically I don't even know how it didn't steal my soul. Them things, they just take, you know, the life out of you. Like I would be to the point where I'm like, oh, I gotta go food shopping, and I pop a Klonopin or two because I know I'm gonna have anxiety. There's gonna be people there, you know. And I would wait till late till no one was around food shopping mostly. But if I couldn't and I had to just go in the daytime, there's gonna be a bunch of people. I'm popping Klonopins or I'm going to school and I would drink. So now I'm drinking and I'm taking these things and I'm blacking out and I don't know where I'm at, and it's just crazy because they have the authority to just, here you go, you know, not a health question in sight about anything that I do with my life, just antipsychotic pills and benzodiazepines, which the withdrawal from them can actually kill you, which I learned. And I had no idea because I would stop them multiple times because I'd be like, oh my God, because I start getting like sick, I would realize. And I'm like, I got to get off these things. And I would just stop. And then it was just like, my daughter is when I completely got off of them when I found out I was pregnant.
So was that the only were those the main drugs, or did you get into like some partying and then now you're bringing in, like you see, little other stuff?
All right, I keep it real. So, so 12 years old, I did cocaine for the first time. And I was pretty much like house hopping my friends' houses around, I'd say like 14, 15, 13, but like more towards 15 is when I would just stay for days and then come back home, maybe get some more stuff, stay for days. So I was basically just coasting out, riding, but I was never addicted to hard drugs, like painkillers. I would like if someone was just like, oh, here's a Percocet, I'd be like, all right, but I never had an addiction to those. My main addiction was basically the Klonopin. Anything else, like if I didn't have it, I didn't go looking for it. If it was offered, I'd be like, oh yeah, whatever, you know.
Right.
But the Klonopin is what it had me. Like it had me so bad too. I couldn't ever deal with anything. I just even even to this day, I just, you know, try to meditate and my breath. And this is why I hate the mask, because my breath has saved my life.
Yeah.
And I'll just, okay. But I used to think I was the chillest girl on earth. Like what? It's okay. Because my world, oftentimes, lots of traumas, lots of violent things that have happened in my time, especially, you know, you're just like a little blonde-haired, blue-eyed girl. Just, you know, I lived right outside the projects and surrounded by them as a kid. You know, things get wild. And just coming to my breath and realizing, like, I am not chill at all. I was just high as hell. that I thought I was so cool. So now it's like the little things come and I'm like, all right, I can deal with this, and it's good because it's not just having a detox; it's having to become as an adult, like as an adult and as a mother. I had to learn from a 12-year-old mindset. That's where I stopped mentally growing and try to say, all right, I can overcome this. But a lot of my behaviors and my reactions are childish. Like, I can't, like a brat in some sense. Because I have never matured on that level. So I had my daughter at like 21. So at 21, I was basically relearning how to the mindset of a 12-year-old, and then try to grow into now being 33 and the woman that I am today. It's quite the ride.
Yeah. And how, so when you started, talk a little bit about the process of really getting off of those psychiatric drugs, just sort of that detox process, the emotional detox. Like what did you do? Were you
Yes, bless my daughter. So I was on lots of the benzos, the Klonopins. When I found out I was pregnant, I was drinking. I used to be a dancer, and at an exotic dancer, I guess would be the way we term that. I started that when I was about 19. And so when I found out I was pregnant, I was actually told by doctors with my period problem I got in 9th grade, I had to constantly be on birth control or I would just bleed. So I was told that I couldn't hold my egg and that I wouldn't be able to have children in the future. So I'm on the birth control, and I find out that I'm pregnant, and I'm just like, oh my God. So of course the person, the whole situation was not one that, let's get married. This is great, obviously. So I did it alone, and I didn't touch one more pill. I didn't touch one more drink. I didn't smoke another cigarette after that pregnancy test. I didn't know what I was going to do. And I just thought, like, what do I do? If I, is the baby even going to be okay at this point? Like it's been, I don't know, I guess like a month since then, you're pregnant. And I was just so nervous, and I would cry. And for a whole 2 weeks, I didn't sleep. I kept seizuring, and I would just sit there and I would hold my pillow and I wouldn't be able to sleep. And I would just go in the shower and let the water hit me, and I'd cry and I'd cry. And it was probably the longest 2 weeks of my life, which now looking back, I didn't realize that I could have died, excuse me. And, a lot of bad things could happen to that with your heart and all, that I should have detoxed in a different way. But I did it alone. I had a lot of friends at that point that were partying. I just turned 21 and I wasn't partying now. So what was the point of me, right? So it was really lonely and scary. And I didn't go to my mom. I felt like I couldn't do that. So I remember I got into my car the one day after through somewhere between these 2 weeks or whatever, not sleeping. And I got into my car, and I remember I looked in the rearview mirror and I thought of a kid just in a car seat back there, and just feeling this feeling of like family, because all I ever wanted was family, like this bond. And I actually had a cousin who was a year younger than me pass away when I was 19, that we finally connected, because we were really close when we were really little, and we got separated for a long time. In my senior year in high school, I found her again. We became like best friends, and she was like that family for me finally that I didn't have all my life. And she got in an accident, a tractor trailer hit her car, and so when she passed, I was just really, really, really sad. And I lost that family connection again that I didn't have growing up. And I just thought about this kid back there, and I decided to keep my baby, and that I was going to, at that moment, do everything impossible. And just so the viewers know, this is a lighter because I like Palo Santo. I don't smoke. Just in case. I'm like,
Don't be trying to,
Palo Santo, got to clear the energy. I was trying to make these devices work. I'm over here.
Right.
But yeah, I from that moment on is when this woman was born, and who I am today is, I think, everything for that angel that God gave me. Changed my life. There she is.
Yeah. I love this picture. I showed this one back when you were on the show a little while ago.
She's she's such a little spitfire. I love it. she would do these modeling poses like since she was just tiny. It's crazy. Yeah.
So yeah, so talk a little bit about once you had her, and then raising her, and then once you come into learning about the plant-based direction and kind of that kind of healing, as well as the inoculation issues we got into a little bit there. So kind of give us a little bit of that story.
Yeah, so my baby Gia, so like as I guess I would call like myself asleep, to the point of, you just say, okay, you think that these doctors have your best interest, and that they just, the things they tell you too about what will happen to your baby if they don't get, is inoculated the word we're using?
Yeah, we'll use that today.
Okay, yeah, I don't want to get the video flag.
Yeah, no.
Inoculated, and they just scare you. I mean, the amount of inoculations I got while pregnant and afterwards, as if I didn't, this baby was just gonna like spontaneously combust or something. It was insane. And they scare you, and I'm like, okay, like, all right. I got all her inoculations, which ended up being 34 of them by the time she was 5 years old. They put a bunch in them at once, which I didn't know. And they were also going against my word, which at the time, you don't check. You're just like, all right, because they'd come in and they'd say, oh, she needs this, this, and this, and then the flu shot. And is that good to say? I don't know.
No, we don't have to be too.
Okay, I don't know.
Don't worry about it.
You can't even talk about vitamins.
I know it, but nah, just it is what it is. We just got to talk,
All right. Yeah. So I would always, because I didn't believe in the flu shot ever, and I was just like, no, I'm not. I was never for that, because that one I just felt, unless you were elderly or something, like, we're good. But the other ones, they did scare me. I don't know if the kid's gonna get smallpox. I don't know. You know what I mean? I was like, oh no, yeah, sure. I always felt weird about it because of there was Jenny McCarthy. I had read some stuff about her, and I was just reading that while I was pregnant, and I felt really weird about the whole, inoculations and everything. But I did it, whatever. We'll come to find out that every time I told them not to give her the influenza one, they ended up giving it to her. And I didn't find out until her records later on in life. They multiple times went against me, because they would bring in the papers and say, oh, and I'm like, no, not that one. And they gave it to her 18 months, a year, like, I think it was a year, 18 months, a couple of them, influenza ones, when I told them clearly, don't give that to her. And I mean, and this is hard for me to admit these things, because like, even to this day, I have like a shame for being asleep and allowing these behaviors to, but at the same time, I didn't know, like, I didn't know. Like, I gave her baby food in those little containers when I could have mashed a banana.
Right.
One aisle over. And these are the reasons, like, a lot of people, they're judging, and I'm like, no, we have to wake them up, because there's just, some people, don't get me wrong, but a lot of the people, it's like, no, like, we have to help, we have to wake them up, we have to get them into nature, because they're gone. Because I can't believe, I look at the things that I would talk about or that I've done, and it's nerve-wracking to a point of like hypnosis. Like, what have they done to us? They have us so far from nature,
right,
that we're doing things, we're injecting our babies. Like it sounds like madness. And I was just like, okay, here. But yeah, they went against everything.
And not only that, injecting babies, not having a clue what is being injected. No one, like, you ask somebody, oh, okay, so do you know what's in there? And aborted embryos. I thought that was a lie, and then I was like, oh no, that's actually true.
Yeah.
And
it's like quite disturbing. And it was around her four-year-old shots that she lost her speech and just had a very strong stutter and couldn't talk anymore. And the doctor said, oh, it's normal, it just happens sometimes it'll just come back, like, it's just something that just happens. And I just, what do you mean it just happens? Like,
wow.
I was like, I didn't drop her on her head, she didn't fall, she wasn't like electrocuted. What do you mean she just can't talk? And she had a very articulate speech when she was little. It was so cute. She really articulated her words well, and she started talking around 10 months was like her first words. So her speech was always something that I was just so proud of, because she didn't really baby talk. You know, she had a good pronunciation. And so there's no way you're not going to tell me at 4 years old that my kid is just having so much trouble getting the words out.
Right.
So I'd say I gave her, I think it was by 5 years old, because no one's saying anything. I have not learned a single injury from these inoculations. I don't know anybody, like, other than the Jenny McCarthy thing back in the day. No one was speaking about it. It's like an unheard weird thing. So
yeah, right.
I don't think anything. I still give her more of them. And I somehow, by the grace and miracle of God, found some rabbit hole of this and found out that stuttering is a symptom, or is a symptom of an injury from these things. And I was like, what do you, like, that's what it was coming from? And around that same time, I was coming to iridology and the study of the eyes. And I always thought it was really weird that my daughters had big, bright blue eyes until she was about 3.5. And her eyes turned green and they're like a hazel. So beautiful eyes, but why are they not blue? Why? Because, you know, they say in the first year they change. So in iridology, you find that there's the true blue eye or a brown eye. And you know, green is just a mirror of the stuff in your body that's building up. So I went to an iridologist, this sweet old woman in Brooklyn, and she told me when she saw her eyes, she was like, oh, she had the vaccines, didn't she? And I said, yeah. So right there, it was a big push for my health. I was, like I said, I was doing like the turkey burgers, this and that. But the second I found out that this was going on with my daughter, I just soared the detox even more, trying to get them heavy metals out, trying to just pump her full of vegetables as much as I can and fruits. And that's what really drove me to do this. And to now, my daughter doesn't have a stutter. She speaks perfectly fine. She also had really bad dyslexia, learning disabilities. Those are all gone. And I would say within a year of cleaning up her diet, all those things got a lot better. So it didn't take long. I mean, she was going to the bathroom regularly now. She would get sick every week. Every other week to every week. My daughter had an ear infection. She was sick. None of those things happen anymore. She needed glasses. She now has 20/20 vision. Yeah, I mean, she would probably go to the bathroom like every 3 days or something. And I always knew. So my grandma on my mother's side was very into holistic health. Like, you know, she ate KFC. She was stuck on like McDonald's Shamrock shakes. But she did always have a plethora of herbal teas. If she ever had an ailment, she was trying to give you vitamin C and all these things. And she always talked to us about our bowel movements. Since we were tiny. So it was never a weird thing for me to talk about poop. So with my daughter, I did know, I'm like, why is she's not going to the bathroom? Like, there's something wrong. But you never think, she needs more real fruits and vegetables. You just think, benefiber. Or it's so strange how they have us in this lunacy of that. You don't think, an apple would maybe help this situation here. Like, yeah. Oh, look at Duke. That's my boy. He just passed. Yeah. But yeah, look at Gia just growing nice and strong. And I did know, this might sound like weird, but my daughter is a lot tanner all year long than she's ever been. She would get very pale. She looked more, because she's half Puerto Rican, and she would be very white. And through these fruits and vegetables, my daughter has a beautiful brown color. And even in January, February, the months where it would, you know, it's not just the sun, like my daughter looks alive. Yeah. And she's calling me. She's, I'm brown, you're pink. She's cute.
That's funny. Yeah. That's and that's something that people don't like to talk about. As you get cleaner, it should be something to be celebrated. It's like, as you get cleaner, you get darker.
Yes.
You know, now it really gets shut down now, because they don't want no one talking about that, you know, that kind of stuff. But it is what it is. I mean, there's a reason. I mean, look at this. I mean, we have a society where they have inventions where people can get in these chambers and get fake light to make themselves darker.
Unfortunately, like who would have thought? It was like all in high school, I would just get in that thing and just crisp my little white self up. Because I was like sick. But I'm not getting the sunlight. You know, I'd be sleeping in or at school like a vampire. It's so sad. And then you get in this box of this fakeness. So
yeah, it's like a little coffin. Get in there, get in the sun coffin, the fake
and like
sun
coffin.
Like
what nasty people are in there before too.
Like, yeah.
I'll admit all the craziness. So like maybe there's somebody watching that might be like, these wackos, and they're like, wait. And I'm like, yeah, I used to be just like you. And I'm telling you, you think you know, but until you're alive with nature and the food, it's just, you don't know nothing.
And that's a good example of just how, so somebody will hear us talking and we start saying, eat fruits and green leafy vegetables, short-term fasting, a little bit of colon irrigation, lemon juice and distilled water enemas, breathing, science of breath, and yoga and stretching and dancing and walking and jogging. And like, but that sounds that they'll try to say that we're extreme and that sounds crazy. Then they go and get in a coffin with synthetic sunlight to make their skin darker. Yes. And then get mad at us when we suggest and give our experiences of as we start to eat more fruits and green leafy vegetables and we start to clean out our colons and clean out our intestines and our system, that not only is it easier to get darker, you can get darker without even going in the sun.
Yes. I think it was January, because my daughter was singing. She was, school was still open. So it was probably January of 2020 before everything got shut down. And I seen a woman and she came up to me and she said, oh, wow. Like something about me looking like so tan, like you're just so tan. I was like, it's the fruit. And she looked at me like I had 6 heads. Like, I was like, oh no, it's just a fruit. Like, I was like, nothing's different.
Yeah, like I'm just like just eating fruit.
Yeah, she was like, okay, like nice seeing you, Dani. And I'm like, okay. It's like these moms are just like, yeah. And I'm like, no, for real, it works. It works. But yeah, talk about extreme. Like I always get that I'm extreme. I was in class, so I'm an apprentice for this union, and in class we were talking about the article came out that every hot dog takes 36 minutes of your life away. Every hot dog you eat. And everyone's reaction was just like, oh, like how like so-and-so is gonna die probably next year because he eats so many hot dogs at break. And then another person was like talking about hot dogs, and one person was really said that it's their job to poison their kid. Like, I'm not going to stop giving my kid hot dogs. It's my job to poison him slow. Like, and like laughed. And I'm like, is this for real? Like, I can't, like, no one was just like, what? 36 minutes? Like, how dare you feed me hot dogs my whole life? Like, I'm sick. Like, I used to tell my daughter, like, just eat it. Like, just eat a hot dog. And it's like, that's what I always say. My liquor bottles had a warning label. My cigarettes had a warning label. My prescription meds, not so much. Just basically told me not to drive or if I was pregnant. But it didn't have a warning label that, But my hot dogs and my food, I didn't consent. Like, I'm always so mad. Like, I didn't consent to this stuff that was happening to me. I never said, oh, this says it can give my kid colorectal cancer. It's okay, honey, eat too. I didn't say that was okay. I was just so looped into this loop that our parents and their parents have put them in, that you say that this is dinner and these are the dinner items and this is food, which, like, I just, no one was pissed, basically, is my point. Like, how no one even was just livid that they allowed us. They basically said they're going to still eat them. What? And then tell me that I'm like nuts because I'm eating like my 4th pair. So.
Yeah. And that's part of this culture where they just make it like, oh, the children, it's just fun. It's just fun, all American goodness. We just eat. And again, just like with the Medicaid, this was like with the inoculations, people don't have a clue what's in there. And you start talking about what's in, then they'll get mad at you. They're like, oh, don't tell me what's really in it. I just want to enjoy. Basically, you just want to enjoy salt and it's like sort of this salty meat-ish flavor type of, you know, kind of concoction. And
yeah, I think I have a picture on my Instagram. It's pretty far down though, but I made some bomb carrot hot dogs.
Oh yeah, yes.
And they'll give you all the satisfaction of a hot dog and not needing to harm any animals or poison yourself to death. But you just you make a marinade and you boil the carrots for like 10 minutes. So they're like just so like kind of like a fork would go through, and then you stop a bunch of holes, pour the marinade on, leave it overnight, and then you just boom, make them. And that was like my transition, because like, you know, I came from, like I said, truck driving family and stuff. We ate a lot of hot dogs, but I was like, I just really want the mustard and the bread. It wasn't even I need like a vehicle, because once you learn what's in hot dogs, I mean, I would think you wouldn't want to eat that anymore, but apparently you do. So
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, here's the Transitions Cafe with the
yes,
with the
I always put
carrot,
lettuce on everything. So
carrot dog. Yeah. You know, and that's like transition, you know, that's the part of, because people always want to act like the transition is going to be all like perfect, or like it's this or it's that. It's like, man, the transition is just real life, and you just are just getting better every day. You just taking them steps, get better every day.
And I wish I would have known that. Now when I talk to people, I try to say, just be very gentle with yourself. Like I was so harsh as to my approach that I also, you know, when I started it, I had no idea about the Mucusless Diet book either, which is a godsend, because it's like, you don't have to go all raw. You don't have to just eat fruit. You know, it really is like, I'm telling you, like, I just give this book and I'm just like, please read it. And if it doesn't do anything for you, pass it on to somebody that you might think, you know, whatever, and just let the universe take the book where it needs to go. But the transition for me, I wish I could have been more gentle, because I would just try so hard not to eat things, and it just fell off naturally. So now when I talk to people, because they're like, oh, it's just like, aren't you so stressed out? That's so hard. And I'm like, no, it's okay. Like if I'm somewhere and I'm not eating, they think they feel bad for me. And I'm like, no, like I feel bad for you. Like I don't want that anymore. I don't want that food. I'm not sad about it. I wish there was a bomb mucusless salad, you know, food truck. That would be
yeah.
But I'm not sad about, I'm not missing out. And I don't sit there. In the beginning, I would sit there and look at French fries and stuff like, oh my God. But after a while, like you eat a French fry and you feel like you got hit, you know, by a car, you're just like, oh, your stomach, I don't want you, your body just like, it's done, because you're clean. And the cleaner you get, you just don't want it. Like, you know, I crave a really good salad dressing with some salad now, and that's a miracle. So if I could go back, I'd tell myself, like, girl, just be kind to yourself. Because I was trying to be like from this side of like prescription meds, cigarettes, and Hennessy to like, we're just eating all raw. It's like,
Okay. So you did what we talk about a lot with a lot of folks fall into that category of, once you get exposed to this information, oftentimes from the raw food side, and then try to be 100% raw and kind of get into the raw is law type of mentality. And then either don't know about the transition, or heard about it but think that like, I don't need that, I'm good. Like I can, you know.
Yeah, because I was filling up a lot on nuts, like raw nuts, and my body was just tired. Like my body doesn't do well with those heavy fats, and I didn't know that time. So I could have been eating baked squash, some zucchini, you know, something heavier like that, and it would have filled me up, instead of just eating like 5 Brazil nuts and like, you know, some type of weird cashew thing I made up from like a raw, you know, recipe, when these baked or sauteed veggies would have gave me the same heaviness, because it is hard at first to go from these foods to these foods. You need to keep the cooked foods, but learning that a sweet potato isn't like, you know, as heavy or as hard as on my body personally, everyone will be different, but the sweet potato would have been a lot gentler and still gave me satisfaction. And so like all these cashews and things, I mean, everything was made out of cashews for me, and chickpeas. I mean, chickpeas was a good staple, don't get me wrong, but I was looking for like heaviness more than I'm like now. So I got out of that, and then once I got into the Mucusless book or whatever, and thank you for all those foods too, because your version, I was just so thrown off. Like you said, a lot of people get thrown off with that table, the Berg's table.
Yeah, that thing.
And I'm
Yeah.
like, what? And then I'm like confused, and I'm like, wait. But you know what? The best thing about that table was though, black radishes.
Mm-hmm.
I had no idea about them, and I was like, what are these? And I actually found them at the Whole Foods, and I started putting them in all my toast sauce. So good.
Yeah. Yeah, that's kind of what that list was good for. It was like, okay, there's some interesting things on here, but they don't, a lot of this doesn't make sense the way it's, and he didn't go through and explain each thing. And so it's like, okay.
Yeah.
And, but yeah, the black radishes and the horseradish root was something that
I never had horseradish root.
Yeah, because it's all these different radishes. They hit a little different. You know, each one sort of hits a little different. But if you can find horseradish root, that it's like the big old brown, looks like a bone. Kind of thing. And it's strong. But what I do, you can definitely shred it and put it in your salad or chop it up and that kind of thing. It's very strong on the mucosa it's like some kind of chemistry when you bite into it and you're chewing it up. It releases some chemistry that just opens up your head and
nice.
And just like totally you can feel your ears start getting warm. And for people that are really stopped up with just really intense inflammation and stuff that might be real hard, like their nose isn't really running at all, but everything is really stuck up here, then I might have them do the horseradish root therapy, where you get like cut off a little piece of horseradish root and then you chew it. You try to put it kind of over by your teeth, because if it's up against your tongue, it'll kind of burn your tongue, or it won't feel. But you kind of chew it, keep your mouth closed, and just hold it in there. And within like 20 to 30 seconds, you will feel everything open up in your head.
Oh, nice.
And just causes the blood to flow, the lymph to move. It's just like, and so that's, I like the horseradish root is something. I actually haven't had one in a while, but it's good. It's a good, but that's what I'm saying. There's so much. There's like so many little tools that we have at our disposal that we can use and deal with way before you start getting to any of this stuff that these synthetic, chemical, lab created, tested on dogs stuff.
Yeah.
We don't need any of that. But people aren't making millions of dollars. If all of a sudden everybody was, horseradish root, you're not going to make $1 million on that. But selling these drugs to people for hundreds and sometimes thousands of dollars per pill a pop, somebody's getting rich off of that.
My father, he was getting more in alcohol and everything, and I just felt my dad had so much traumas that he couldn't heal, and being a man, you got to be tough, you got to so he drank and eat meat because men eat meat, and so he ate a lot of like fried foods, cheesesteaks. He was always on the road truck driving. This man needed like a colonic to the fullest. If I could go back, it's just like, oh my god, like it's such a movement for me. I just oh my god, because you think of all the things you could have changed. But my father, towards the end, my mom was like, you need help, and her help was always the psychiatrist. So my father gets on these medicines, doesn't stop drinking or doing anything though. And within those 2 years of him being put on prescription psych meds, he tried to commit suicide 2 times. He induced himself into the first one was a coma. So it was I was in high school. It was my junior year, and they called me down to the office, and I actually thought I was in trouble because I was on probation. And I was like, I'm not coming down the office. Like, I was like, is my mom trying to get me in trouble? Like, she wouldn't do that. And my mom, I wouldn't come down to the office because I thought that's what was happening though. And she was like, your dad's in a coma. They don't know if he's going to make it. And then I was just, oh my God. So I went down and yeah, my dad, it was over a week, and the nurse would let me come in and visit him, not during visiting hours. And he ended up coming out of that coma and going to a rehab or whatever, acting like he had a drug problem. But my dad knew what he was doing. And then the second time it happened again, he ended up in the hospital, didn't work. And he said that he was, going to get a bottle of liquor and just shoot himself if he was ever going to do it again, which the third time was October 26th, 2007. He did, with a rifle, take his life. And my father was never suicidal. He was angry and he was sad and he was crazy and he would rage out. He had a lot of those issues, but my dad was never suicidal until he got on those prescription medications. And I want to fight like hell as to clean the bowels, to clean the body. There's these depressed children, especially with this whole situation with the pandemic and everything, and everybody being isolated and scared, and they're just traumatizing these kids, and people are sad and they're depressed, and they're going to put them on these medications, and no one studies the effects of how these medications will drive you to psychosis, to suicide. And I mean, it was literally like that within the 2 years of him being on it. He tried until he accomplished it, and it just sickens me that was the help for him,
Right.
And if I could dream up anything in the world, just boom and have it, a center where if you're on drugs, if you're suicidal, if you have stage whatever cancer, whatever the case may be, if you're just don't know how to live this lifestyle, that I can just welcome you into a place where like there's the ocean and a breeze, and like, you get the good ions from the ocean, and I give you juice and I show you, this is how you do it. I make you smoothies, like come here, like this is this dressing, and basically clean you out, be colonics, enemas, and and see if you really feel the same when you leave this center, and then put you back out there in the world, and that would be help. Because to me, I like literally a miracle that I can even be standing here and speaking to you and articulate this conversation like I am, compared to because I went to go get help at 12 years old.
Right.
And then unfortunately, my father went to get help. He wanted to be a good man. He wanted to take care of his family and provide, but he was lost. And that was the help. Like,
yeah.
There's no, the amount of constipation. It's just like the fact that that's never a thought, like you see these men, they look pregnant and they're all like, yeah, and they're yelling and they're drinking the beer, and it's like everyone's raging out and everyone just needs to poop.
Yeah. I mean, it's like,
when you can't say it, they think you're crazy.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you can't have that conversation. I mean, it really is like there's some kind of, it's like there's this momentum, this pus-based momentum in culture and just society. And you can, when you're looking at it from the outside, sort of looking back in after having been in there, and then you're kind of outside looking at it, you're like, yeah, there's nothing that you can say. I mean, they're into this. They're like, it's like you said, at these bars or the clubs or the wherever it's going down, at the Waffle House. It's like all the, just all the everywhere. But there is this momentum that leads right to these human slaughterhouses for with the inoculations. I need to commit to memory the statistics of the number of people that die from medical, just straight medical, the medical malpractice and the medical accidents that they even acknowledge.
Yeah.
I mean,
Walsh, there's a Instagram thing, Walsh something. So I forgot, what is it? I don't know the thing. They put on a whole thing about how many, it would be like the equivalent to, I don't even know how many planes crashing a day, to how much medical people kill people.
Wow.
Just it was like massive planes crashing a day every week. That's how many people are just innocently dying. And I was just like, what? Like, I had to grow up with a guy who he ended up getting 2 wrong back surgeries. Not one, but 2 wrong ones. He had to get the 3rd right one. And now, I mean, he's all messed up on drugs and everyone like blames him. Like like, how do you mess up twice? Like on the same person? Like, I have had ulcers before I got pregnant and I never got them taken care of. And my stress levels never got really taken down much until like the last 7 years. I've been on a progressive one, but it's also very hard to stress management, you know, like I said, working through my mind and everything with the pills and how to rewire my brain and then life, whatever. So, yeah, I just lost my train of thought. What was I just saying?
Well, we were talking about the all the people dying from medical malpractice.
Oh, the back surgery.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, my
ulcers.
Sorry.
Yeah.
I start going in backstories and then I just forget completely what I'm talking about. All right. So my ulcers. So I have like weird pains some mornings. If I'm juice fasting or I'm just eating fruit, I don't feel this like dull but like pain in my stomach when I wake up, and it isn't going away. But I'll still eat like, you know, some, like the cooked veggies and things, and you know, I'm not perfect. I'm not there yet. But if I didn't have to work, I would just go on a long juice fast. Like I would like to commit and just, but I can't right now. Yeah. So I wanted to get the camera down my throat and the endoscopy, I believe they're called, and see, you know, what's going on. And I said, I went to the doctor's appointment and I was trying to get her to do it without any medicine. Like, I don't want to be put under. And she was like, I don't know. It's like, and I'm just like, don't me. Like, you don't know who I am. Like, I'll do it. Like, just. Yeah. She was like, well, we're going to have to give you propofol and it's very safe.
It's like that one. That's the one that we're going to pick.
The one that killed Michael
Jackson. The one that killed Michael Jackson? Okay.
That's safe one.
Yeah. Oh, it's real safe. Okay. Yeah. And that's the induced, that's like the coma, you know, because I had a loved one that's what they were given, you know, that's like you know, they use that if they're inducing a coma for people.
Yeah.
But, wow.
Yeah. I was like, well.
They were going to put you under to do that? That's what they were wanting to do? Okay.
Yeah. And I just kept trying to tell her, I'm like, oh no, like if it's possible, but she wasn't saying no. So I'm like, okay, like, can you just do it? Like, if I start gagging, like, oh, well, like, just, you know, like, we won't know till we get there. And if it's a possibility to do it, like, it's not impossible. Right. And trust me when I tell you, I can take it. Like, I want to know. But nah, because I won't do, like, you know, it's very, if I'm going to the doctor, it's going to be because I need to use, because the insurances that I pay for aren't in the holistic doctor at all. So I pay
and that's, and like you said, you know what it is and really kind of what needs to be done. I just want to see,
like, at the extent, like, do I,
or because, well, if they could take pictures, that's interesting. Is that what you were trying to get them? Like,
they would take a video.
Okay.
Of it. Say it's to the point where they're like, oh, like, it's not even ulcers. Like, I don't even know, like, what this feeling is. Then I wouldn't, like, ruin this job that I'm getting paid, you know, X amount of dollars at, and try to ruin that, especially with the inoculations right now. Where can I work, you know? So,
right.
But if it was to the point where, like, okay, girl, you only have like X amount of days, you know what I mean? Months or years to go. Like, you know, this is how bad this is. Then I would have to. That's all I was trying to get to, is just like, what wiggle room of healing do I have? Do I need to get down to business or do I have time? But she hit me with the propofol and I was like, I'm just going to say I have time, man. We're going to ride this till the wheels fall off. I'm good.
Yeah. I would think that, you know, the more mucus-free you are, and you know, and kind of away from some of the more acid-forming things and stuff, that it shouldn't flare up too much, you know. But yeah, it sounds like definitely some fastings in your future at some point.
Because the things I did to my stomach, I had such bad anxiety, so I would throw up since I was very small. I had like my first trauma incident was when I was 4 years old that I remember. And my one grandmother, was letting me eat all the candy in the house, right? Eating. I was 4 years old. And I was running around eating all the candy. And then she asked us if we wanted pizza. And I'm like, yeah. So she orders us pizza. And what's crazy is I remember this so vividly. And because, okay, so she orders the pizza. And when the pizza came, I always had to get my pizza cut up because that's how I ate it. And I threw up all over the pizza.
Mm.
And grandma wasn't happy about that. And this isn't the holistic one on my mom's side.
Yeah.
So she said, you're going to eat this pizza.
Oh, man.
And this is where the beginning of freedom fighter Dani came, because I said no. And I ran. And it was nighttime. And I ran out that house. And I ran to...
You said you were 4?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And I ran to my other grandmother's house. And here, this is where my memory gets a little foggy, because I just remember everyone being so long. Like everyone just looked, in my memory, it's just everyone's so tall. And then I don't remember much after that, except, you know, she said I was lying. And it was just this whole thing that came. And that's basically how the cousin I was speaking about earlier, we kind of got separated, because that was my dad's mom and then my dad's brother's kid. So we kind of like ruined the family in a basis, in a sense. But that I ran, and that was the beginning of, you ain't gonna tell me what to do. Yeah. But the throwing up, I continued though through my childhood, my life. Like when I would get nervous or upset, I just puke and not anymore, but yeah, very nauseous, anxiety, really bad. So.
Right. Well, and then on top of that, cause see, some young bodies don't, if you weren't transitioned into the pus and mucus properly, then it'll be hard for you to eat like that. But they'll continue to try to force you to eat like that because they don't know any different. And it's like, well, this is how you eat. There's starving people in some unspecified country. Eat this.
Yeah.
Don't complain about that. Eat this burger. Eat this pizza. Eat this. And it's like, maybe it tastes good, but I'm throwing it up. It doesn't. My stomach hurts, and I'm taking, Pepto-Bismol and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, that's like a big thing in my home now is if you're not hungry, you don't eat. And if you're full and there's still food on your plate, then bless you for knowing you're full, and you can eat it later. And my daughter's so good with that now. She's like, because I get mad so much that I have to get up every day and go to work at a certain time. Like, I'm tired. I want to sleep today, but maybe I'll be not as tired the next day, and I can't listen to my body. So they've taken me out of my body at a young age because I have to go at this time. And then they tell me when I can eat. So now I'm not listening to my body again. And I've been so unaware of this home that my soul has that I have beaten it up. I have put it through so much hell. I basically bring myself down vibrationally my whole life. I've hurt myself. And in the moment that I was aware that I was in this body, I started being hyper aware of it to a point of an obsession. And now, now I'm like, all right, now I'm coming back down and learning to listen to it. So with my daughter, it's like a whole process of, you're here with the body, thank the body, listen to it. What is it talking to you? What is it saying? Because we, from birth, get no say in who, to listen to this miraculous thing we got. And so just throwing up, being forced to eat when you have to eat, bathroom breaks in school too. Can I? No, go. I'm not even allowed to pee or have those movements either. It's a sin. Sickening.
Yeah. Well, speaking of school, talk to us a little bit about, I guess, the past year and a half or 2 years and kind of dealing with raising a child in this new climate of this new authoritarian, medical. I'm gonna come up with a good term because I don't like the way people are dealing with the politics right now is very off. Because the right wing, left wing analysis and that doesn't work. There's Republican, Democrat, that doesn't work. What we need to be talking about is authoritarian versus anti-authoritarian, because there is authoritarian on both sides, and in the middle there's authoritarian. So that's the analysis. It's either authoritarian or it's not. You can fight about if you're more conservative on a certain issue or not or whatever, but is it authoritarian? That's, now you lost me with anything. As soon as you get to that where you're forcing somebody and say you have to do this, you have to get this, you have to send your child here, and in order for you to send them here, you have to do this to them and put this in their body. It's like, wait a minute, I don't have no contract with this is with you, you know, this is a straight authoritarianism. So tell us a little bit about that journey, because you talked a little bit about it before, but you were kind of in the midst of it in that live we did a little while back. Tell us a little bit about kind of how you navigating the waters right now.
All right. So this one gets me fired up. So I like to go to my whole thing is always just like, oh, is this place colonized? Because this is the problem. So I like to go deep with everybody. Like, let's see what the real problem is. But so yeah, they are still masking these children, and the school board meetings are all on the internet, and you have to record your video or your question or whatever you're going to say, and then they watch it, and then it'll go through. So I can't even be that mom. Like, I can't even hold, which it is very, very communist. I don't even know that's what I keep calling it. I just keep calling it communist. It's very communist over here. There's no, it's very rare to see like anyone actually like, you know, this whole time, like standing up for themselves or their rights or anything.
Yeah.
So I can't fight it. I can't try to go to the meetings and say anything. Basically, you see these videos, it's like seeing these awesome parents like sticking it to these people, but I can't because it's a recorded one. They're not going to let me.
Right. They already figured that out. Like, oh, let's just,
you can't we
can cut this feed real quick.
Yeah. So I've been upset with the school system since they only had like one 15-minute recess in elementary school. They had to be quiet during lunch. It was already a movement of this.
Yeah.
You know, because I'm like, excuse me, like we had like at least three recesses when we were small. So it started off with in March, whatever. Okay, they're coming home. They're going to do online things, and I'm very anti-screen. So I don't like screen times. We don't have cable. You know, she does watch like some things on YouTube, craft things and whatnot on YouTube. But for the most part, you know, I have like a Disney Plus thing that came free with the thing. But like I'm very anti screen stuff.
Right.
Because I like, she knows, and I've taught her that, you know, what would you think if you weren't taught it? So I don't really like, you know, like you can watch movies, but be aware that like you're only thinking that this is life because they're showing you this. So like I want her to imagine a lot. So anyway, this is where I get off my things. So the school, they were on the computer, and now I'm mad. So I have like the blue light filter glasses. I get her and everything, and they're going through that. So you think, all right, they're going to go back to school next year. Mind you, when I got this job in the place that, you know, she's going to be at school, I'm going to be at work, because I always had like evenings and stuff other times. So it was going to work out great. And then this all happened. So the next year comes along, and she still has to wear masks, and they have to stay 6 feet apart. And like, I don't want her to think that she has to agree with any of that. And no one will ever cover my child's face. Like no stores. I have gotten to multiple fights. I've been kicked out of almost every single store in my county. So because you will not even look at my child, don't tell her to put a mask on. Right. So they are now, last year they were doing online with the teachers, and the teacher would sit there and talk to them like this. And then that's basically how she did school last year. Come to find out this year, she's still doing a mask thing. And I'm like, excuse me? So they can go to a restaurant and take off their mask. They can go to these football games. Why are the children forced, especially the ones, they're not even affected by this virus.
Right.
And so the online thing for this year is she just does it all herself. Like there's no teachers. It's just like you're an online college student. And so I remember Brother Air saying, like, why do you still got her in that system? And I'm like, well, I don't know. Like, and I was just like, because I have to. Like, I mean, I grew up like, I don't know what to do. Like, so it was always sitting in the back of my head, like, how did he get his kid out though? Like legally, like ever since he said that, I'm like, but how did he do it?
Yeah.
And my kid is no longer part of the public school system. Thank you. Thank you, Brother Air, for that. Because I was
yeah.
I was just like, I found a way and I pulled her out. So now family, and we have like nannies and things that will help during the hours that I have to be away. And my job's pretty cool right now with like, if I call out and, you know, things that I got to do, they're real understanding. So we have a support system that's working right now. Main goal is I want to be her main teacher because I have, you know, for the most of the time, but yet no longer part of that system. I found a legal way to remove her.
Nice. Yeah, that's so I'm glad that discussion led to that.
Yes,
I was able to do that because that was a good for folks that want to go back and find that episode with all of us. I don't even remember what it was called, but it was a good episode where he got into the homeschooling and just Brother Air will definitely provide you with some different ways to just think about and deal with it, because it's about his like anti-authoritarian. Like he doesn't even know anything else. Like he can't comprehend not like going along with any kind of authority that doesn't make sense. You know, that's obviously corrupted.
Yeah.
He's like, I'm not a part of this at all. And so it's like for not even a moment would he even consider anything other than that. So I'm glad you were able to kind of get into that and, you know, figure out what you needed to do, and that you're in a city that at least isn't, you know, trying to show up at people's homes. And I mean, it's getting really rough.
Yeah, it's real easy. I was really, when I found out, so I kept reading the law so many times, and I'm trying to like figure it out and like, what do I do? Because the law is just the way it's worded. I'm like, come on, Dani, you could do it.
Right.
And I would get so overwhelmed. And then come to find out, like, so there's things you have to get notarized, and it's a very general thing. You just have to show the district of what you're going to teach. There is, and you get, you have to get evaluated and once a year or whatever, and you have to send in paperwork every year. But there isn't, it's not like, I know New York, it's like a nightmare. I've probably California too. New Jersey, I'm not far from Jersey. It's just, oh my God. So I felt really lucky that it wasn't as hard as I thought it was going to be. I actually thought you couldn't do that at all. I thought I had to be like a physically teacher. You just can't have a felony. Whoever's going to be with her can't have a felony. I'm like, I can't have a felony. If I had a felony in the last 5 years, I wouldn't have been able to teach her, which I also think is pretty messed up. But like just so many rules on rules. But yeah, what a blessing to get her out of there. Just
Brother Air says, yes, Dani, slaying the dragon.
Yes, and I need more. So I try to do all my manifesting and you know, and really see like, what is my dream? Like where could this life take me? You know, if I wasn't, because I'm not the one that toes the line. So in middle school, high school, I was always in trouble because I was always, excuse me, like you can't talk to us like that. Or no, like I was never a rule follower. And it wasn't because I was just bad and out of control. I had a lot of respect. I was intelligent. I was in all honors classes. I just don't like people telling me what to do for no reason. Like so now I'm to the point where it's just like this, I'm my dream right now. So hopefully by the next time we have another podcast, I can tell you that this has worked out, but making income in a way that like my gifts to earth, you know, like I'm giving back to earth and I'm making income. And that's my dream right now. That's my next. Because these bosses and telling me what to do and how to go to work in these dirty conditions. And I'm working around like, you know, construction, and it's loud, and like my nervous system, like I've been a tough go-getter my whole life. I had to hold like more of a masculine energy. Like I'm very feminine and whatever, but I had to hold that like survival, and I was out there. Like I've slept in my car for nights. I've, you know, like I said, I was a dancer for so long. I did so many things. You have to be tough, and you can't cry. You got to, where I want to be like this soft thing now. And like, even with the loudness from work, I'm just like, oh, like, no, I just, you know, cool belt. And I'm like, my ladder.
Right.
And I just like, I want to, you know, I'm going to do it because right now it's, for some reason, it's part of the journey. But if I could get to the point where I can eat when I want to eat, I can get up when I want to get up, and I'm doing something good for people, like the earth, like something that's revolving. So that's where we're gonna speak it here on the podcast. So then hopefully next time I can
Yeah.
say, yeah, I did that one too.
This is what, yeah, you could come on here and promote whatever it is that you you come up with if
I got
it's
the
that
kid
type
out of
of thing.
school.
Yeah.
It worked.
Yeah, because I'm a big advocate of entrepreneurship and people just building their own empire. Build your own company, your own whatever, like your thing, your own community, your own nation. We've been talking this way for years, and people think that it's like hyperbole, or that we're just like, oh, haha, yeah. There's like, no, we're building a new humanity. We're building a new nation. Yeah, there might be like a handful of people that know about it now, but by the time everybody else finds out, it's gonna be too late. It's already gonna be built, and the folks that were on board early are gonna be the ones that's gonna be a part of building it. And they're gonna have a place there, and that's something that's gonna be. This is going to be interesting to watch it, and with these with what they're doing with the just insane authoritarianism, and from especially when you look at a lot of these other countries in Australia and
oh my goodness,
New Zealand, UK. I mean, there's if there's. I mean, it's all we can do at this point is if you're not over there, if you're there, my thing is resist, or just do what you need to do. I know it's depending on where you are in the country. It's different, but I'd be somewhere doing some kind of resistance in that kind of situation. But over here, we have the opportunity to build things and create private spaces where you can't, if you're vaccinated, you can't come in here. You can't come into our compound or our situation.
Yeah.
So y'all have y'all thing. We'll have our own grocery stores. We're gonna have our own electricity. We'll have ours. You have yours. Just you stay over there. We're gonna deal with us, and I don't want it to be like. I mean, I'd rather it not be like that. I'd rather we could, do the peace and love type of imaginary thing. But that, historically, that's not been.
Yeah.
That hasn't worked out for a lot of people that have tried to do that. And so we just got to be able to protect ourselves, build something that demands that kind of respect, where it's just like, look, like this is what we're doing. Leave us alone.
And like a whole like year like thing, like say you were trying to get it, but you have to like literally like you would be like cleaned for like a year, because it's such a beastly way that everyone lives. It's like so low. It's animal, and it's not like the beautiful animals. It's it's a beastly sick thing. It's just like you're not gonna, you can't even trust it until they're clean. You know what I mean? You can't even. I definitely, I can't even imagine how beautiful that would be. Just to even, so there's this woman, Miss Beverly, and I keep wanting to go back and see Miss Beverly, because so in Germantown, there's a restaurant, All the Way Live Cafe, and she owns this restaurant, and I believe she said she was 70 something years old, and she was beautiful. Oh my goodness. She probably, in my head, I'm thinking she might be like late 40s something. No, in her 70s. She was really close to Dr. Sebi, and just a dream of a woman. She had me in tears, and I've never met anybody. So she was talking to me, and this is in January. I went to go eat some of her food, and she was talking about how 40 some years ago she decided she was going to start eating raw. She met Dr. Sebi, and then they became really good friends. And that her children, because she was asking me about like my daughter, and I was telling her like how they would harass her at lunch and what she was eating and all this stuff. And she said that they would do that to her children as well. And she said, I paid all this money for them to go to private school, and that child services would show up at her house and stuff, because he said they were like starving her. She was starving her children. And she told me, she said, I never would have made it without meditating though. And she always kept telling me I never would have made it. But I always want to go back to Miss Beverly because I don't have any like real people. And I was just like, I would always think like, would that be weird if I just reach out to her? Like, I need a mentor, Miss Beverly. She was so awesome. But to see actually someone live it. So she was even telling me, she's like, your body's not even be able to handle grapes one day because grapes aren't even, she's like, but for now, you eat them grapes, girl.
Right.
One day you're not gonna be able to handle it. But it's to me, like, you know, so okay, I've done some of these and I've got to talk to you, but when you're around face to face with someone living the lifestyle for X amount of years, it's like a whole like when you recharge your phone or a battery, you're like, yeah. So good. There's also a man, I know someone said they were from Philly, so it would be kind of a drive, like maybe a 40-minute drive, but there's this place called Arnold's Way. So check out Miss Beverly's spot, All the Way Live Cafe in Germantown. And then Miss Arnold's Way is in Lansdale, PA. So Arnold's Way he's been doing it for about 40 years as well. He's in his 70s. He eats mostly all raw food, and he has like something on the internet you can learn from. And his restaurant, he helps people go vegan. So for like $3 a day, he feeds them. If they pay him, I don't know how much it was a month. Then they come in on a meal plan, and he gives them a smoothie and a meal every day, and helps transition them out of their lifestyle into the raw foods living. And he's the dream. I just met this guy not too long, and I got so excited a couple weeks ago, and I was like, oh my God, it's phenomenal. He's not too close to me, so I can't. But his restaurant, like everybody came, they were giving hugs, and he was giving real food to people and salads and helping people. He wrote so many books and everything about stuff. So it's just awesome. I was just thinking about your community and just like, look at these 2 people I've met, and that's it. And it's like, I'm like, yeah.
Right. Right. Yeah. And that's, and that was like kind of the whole piece behind the Arid Day celebration, where it's like, all right, we're going to have like everybody here is on the path. Like everybody here knows we don't have to explain nothing. We don't have to go, the normal. It's like we ask, so who in here is still eating meat? No one raised their hand. It's like, all right, cool. It's just it's a whole different vibration, and that's something that if you know, as they say, if you know, and and it's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing when you find your people, your tribe, or your whatever you want to call it, your family, your community, because I never really, because we're all part of different various communities, and we got our family and that kind of stuff. But I never felt like I fit in anywhere in the Pus and Mucus Society. Like I didn't. You do your best. You wear your little clothes and try to, act however, whatever, to be cool kids or whatever it is that you do, or, or if you're aloof and you try to, it's like you try to condition yourself into going along with this program. And there's some people that are really good at that. They're able to just hypnotize themselves. They really believe that they are these people, that these characters that they're playing, they really think that that's who they are, and they're just in it.
Yeah.
And but I just knew that this was like, this ain't it. I'll play the game for a while, but there's got to be something more than this. And then I started studying and came across the Mucusless Diet, and that changed everything, because that allowed me to then become who I really am, to where like, well, now I'm comfortable in my body. I'm comfortable wherever I'm at, where even, internally I'm comfortable.
Yeah.
Maybe if there's a barbecue and there's a bunch of stuff, I'm not, I'm not super, I'm still comfortable inside. I'm more irritated. Like, I don't want to smell this nasty. Like, stop killing things and eating it. Cooking it and eating it. Come on, people. But yeah, we're real.
Yeah, it just brings you back to yourself too. Like I think too, like the awkward stage of like teenagers and the school thing and fitting in, and just imagine they were gifted this lifestyle and they could just love themselves and show up. I'm hoping I can give this gift to my daughter, because I don't know what is, how it is going to be like for her. And she will be around, the mucus people. And, I would like, I pray, like, come on, man, like just more mucusless kids or someone more, because her mind's going to be so different than these kids. And it's like,
yeah.
I need.
Well, I forgot. I've been there's somebody I want to get you in touch with that's out there. That's I meant to. I forgot to do that, but
good.
I'm gonna do that. Yeah, another where y'all could have your own little community of.
Well, that was another thing.
Yeah.
The woman, Miss Beverly, when we were there, because I know she said her daughter was working there, and then there was her daughter. I think that was like her daughter's kids just like running around the restaurant, and like the back of my head, I'm like, can we be friends with you guys? Because she said, up like that, Yeah. And so like their kids might be living like that, and to my daughter, she's like a unicorn running around. She don't know anybody like this,
Mm-hmm.
But it's great because someone was asking for free samples for like mushroom jerky at Whole Foods. They were like passing it out, so she runs over and the girl goes, "Would you like some mushroom jerky?" And she was like, "Am I allowed? Can I please see the ingredients list?" And then the lady gives it to her, and I'm like, "Yeah, girl." But I mean, she caught up on that like around like 8 years old. She was good at reading labels, but now she's like on point. She wouldn't even ask me for something. She's like, nah, because she knows what we can have.
Mm-hmm.
But it's good. But yeah, then the comfort in my own skin is phenomenal compared to like the awkward, I don't know, like a crawling in my skin. It's just, and like, I don't know, it's kind of like this has to be a calling, like you were saying, like you just felt like something, you didn't fit in anywhere. Just like,
yeah, it's just not comfortable. And what we're taught to do in society that I found is it feels, because it always felt like everybody's just acting, and it just looks like that to me. And and even back then, like I just thought everybody was maybe sort of knew, like there was a part of them that knew that this was all sort of like we're playing some kind of elaborate stage play or something, but we're all, and a lot of people they're not conscious of that. They're just sort of into it, thinking like, yeah, this is real life. But I always sort of had this existential type of experience, whereas okay, I'm building my character and I go to school, I'll be the musician jock guy and that kind of stuff. But when I go to these parties, it really was like it's sort of like the displays of status, because everybody wants to try to establish their status and act in a way, they're align themselves in a way where they'll have higher status, and so that they can seem more attractive. And then there's all the little games like that the guys play, where there's like the little alpha male stuff where they're just ready to fight anybody at any moment, and then there's the stuff the women, so there's this whole, but that's what it looked like to me. Even then, it was just like this game. We were just messing around, like we're just playing this little, like the Game of Thrones type of thing. It's just everybody wants to try to develop their status, and we're acting like what we see other people that have status do, like that we're trying to act like that. And so people now, I mean, I can, turn on what Hannah Montana, I don't know what the kids are watching, but whoever the was that Kardashians and all this stuff and Real Housewives and all this mess, it's like kids are acting like that. That's their model is like, okay, so that's what it is to be successful. That's what it is to get all this money. So let's get all kinds of plastic surgery and let me get fake stuff, all injections, and go in the tanning bed. And, it's just, it's a very strange reality,
Yeah, I can't just even, I have words because it's getting so scary. I used to wear like makeup, not all the time, but a lot of the time. Like I couldn't go anywhere without mascara and like foundation. I don't know but like if you think about it though, like I was sick looking because I was looking like everybody else. Because now I see people and I'm like, you're like cusping on gray. Like your skin's gray, man. Like you know what I mean? The white ones get a little green gray. It's like this. You can see they're like near death. It's like scary. Anyway, and they're not even dying though. It's just you can see people's skin now, and then I just now if I see like a whole face painted in makeup, it's just like what? It's like startling to me. I used to color my hair all the time, constantly. It was like an addiction. Like it's the amount of addictions that I have broke. Like I just tell myself like, nah, it's like I don't color my hair. I don't wear the makeup. I stopped getting tattoos. There was like a piercing thing. I was just, what am I doing? Like just mutilating the hell out of myself for what good reason? And now when I see other people doing it, even like to like the curl, like, and this not to anybody who does this, it's just that I couldn't go out with like a curling iron to my hair or a blow dryer to my hair. Now I'll just let it go wild or just clip it up. And when I see other people with their hair done, I just think like, oh, like I used to work in a hair salon too. So, and it never worked out for me. I never could really get into it because I didn't want to tell anybody like, girl, you're fine. Like them grays look great on you. Like, what are you talking about? But I couldn't get into it because I just think everybody should just like, I trim my own hair. I pull it out. I cut, like, I don't know. I just think the more primal to me now is the more beautiful. And like I said, no shame to anybody's doing that. Or if that makes you feel good, I think everybody should do what they want. But I just feel that the more I came into this lifestyle, the more I fast, and the more I just want to be this primal, natural being that just like wakes up, and here I am. Which actually went to like a work meeting in like slippers the other day, and I'm just like, what? Yeah. They're like sneakers and a bunch of construction dudes, and I'm there in like these like pants with like my slippers and stuff.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's what I'm doing. I played a part with my high vis and my tool belt, and then I just want to be in sandals,
Yeah. Just
I want to be barefoot, really.
Barefoot, yeah, on the beach in the woods somewhere.
Yes.
Just yeah,
somewhere warm, because this weather is just. This is about the time of the year where like it all comes crashing down.
Yeah.
And then working on like last minute working on the roof and just watching, because they'd be like, "There's a real bad snowstorm coming," and I would watch them planes and I would watch them chemtrails, and then the days that they were going hard with it, the snow would be the worst. And I'm like, and I would try to tell people at work, I'm like, yo, this is wild. Like, those aren't clouds. Like, you know that these aren't clouds, right? And they would just look at me like, shut up. And I'm like, what?
Yeah.
What do you mean? Like, I'm not even, are you calling? Like, it's like, oh, she's the conspiracy theory. I'm like, I'm not, look up.
Right.
Take a peek and then watch it snow crazy tomorrow.
Yep.
But quite the experience. This transition is, I don't know, it's something else. But then you start realizing, because I feel like when I was little, I was like, oh, like you get to a certain age and everybody's like grown up, or you think people get somewhere in there, they got it together. And now I'm just like, everybody is shot out, like certifiably. This is the insanity is just like, oh my God, I didn't know. You think some people have it together.
Right. Yeah. You think, like where from the bottom to the top, it's like just chaos.
Like you said, they're playing those roles.
Yeah.
Like everyone's in this like game, like you were saying, of playing these roles. And I'm like, damn, because I grew up where I'm like, I thought I was like this weird child who grew up in a mentally ill home and everyone had mental illness. Yeah, to a certain extent, other people weren't, what was happening to me wasn't happening to other people. But at the same time, everybody's in some level in a home with mental illness, because I just look at it, I'm like, what is going on? Like, you should watch these people, these parents, my battery, they masked their children and let them play soccer. So my daughter's in soccer, and these kids are running around. It'd be like 80 degrees with these masks on, just running up and down the field. And I'm like, what? I'm getting like mad. I'm like saying things, and you guys are just going to let this happen? And they really will come back with like, oh, like they're so excited. Like I heard the other moms talking about being excited about the inoculation being passed for the kids.
Right. Yeah. And, nutty, insane lady.
Yeah. But mind you, all the parents are sitting there with no masks on, but the kids were running around. I wrote a letter saying that my daughter, I always, when you need a doctor to excuse that she has a condition that she needs oxygen. Because I never like to say things and then like it would lead it to happen. So her condition is that she needs oxygen, which it works, which is just weird though. Like, so does your kid. Your kid has the same condition, everybody, but yeah, she didn't have to wear one. So everyone else had one on. She didn't have to have one on. So like there are ways that you don't have to do this to your kids,
Right.
But I feel like a lot of them are just, they're fine with it. It's scary.
I mean, and this, and I'm gonna try to play little of this. I don't know if I changed the speed. I'm hoping that they don't hit me with the with like with the copyright thing. But this is.
Oh my God! It looks like down in Philly.
It is. This street
Is it?
Kensington Avenue. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a bunch of these videos. This
Oh my God.
Kim Gray.
Okay.
They just driving around in the street, and I
Yeah.
really ain't never seen nothing like really this bad. Like,
Oh my God. Yeah, that's right out in Philly, man. I'm like, that really, these people, and they're just letting this happen. They don't even clean up the trash.
yeah, I mean, you can just see she's got she just has a syringe in her hand. You just
and you walk like a block over, and like people are trying to be all uppy, yuppie, like hipsterville with their the same type of town, like, right? It's just crazy. They're not picking
just
up
a couple blocks over. Yeah.
Yeah, like every morning that I'm walking into work, I'm in a hospital working right now. You're just walking by people sleeping, like tarps on them. There's tents in the city, like, and then you have these people like shopping and doing whatnot and just walking by these people. It's just, look at this. And then there's children walking up and down here. Like, these people have children. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and this is the reality. So when people start, I don't want to hear it, when people start talking about, oh, this is the greatest country and the greatest society and the greatest such and such and all this little patriotism and all this kind of stuff about wherever. I'm like, look, man, this is a pus and mucus based world that needs to end. That part of this story needs to come to an end, because you can't, because people will blame, like, well, this is because of capitalism did this, or this is because of socialism, or this because of this and that. No, this is because of pus and mucus poisoning. Period. That is the foundation of all of this.
And they treat them like animals. And I'm like, you don't know if that little girl, that woman who might have been a little girl getting molested by her parents was out on her own early, or if that boy, like, you don't know what happened to him, and something happens to him. They treat them like there's no human, like they're just disgusting filth of the earth. And it's like, how do you even expect it to them to even, I don't know. That's
yeah. Well, that's that caste system mentality that's always been around, and people want to act like there's not really a caste systems, and now they're trying to create the medical caste system, where they're the people that have gotten their inoculation versus the people that haven't. So if you haven't, then you don't have your passport, you don't get your they can start taking all kinds of stuff away. You can't get your license. Like, what about then? Because it's always there. Because that's where it gets me, when people aren't resisting. It's like, okay, what if you can't go into the grocery store without proof of compliance? You can't.
Because you won't be far from being on the street with these people. You don't know. This is basically where we're all headed. But I mean, without, drug use or whatever, but at a certain point, like, how many people that get forced out onto the streets then turn to drugs? Like, they're on the street. I was out in Colorado and Denver a couple years back, and it's probably like maybe 6 years ago. And the amount of homeless people out in Denver was insane. But it wasn't like, this is some scary stuff. Like, I actually, this is crazy.
This is like a whole other level.
And like, to just go, when I'm going to work or you're driving down the street, it's just, you're trying to walk, it's wildness, no garbage, all that. But in Denver, the homeless rate was just like out of control. And I have a friend who lives out there, and she said that, once the marijuana got legal, they upped the rent in 1 year by 700%. And they just pushed out all these people on the streets, raised the rent like that. So the next year, they had to pass a law that you couldn't raise the rent by a certain amount in a certain time, because their homeless thing. But nobody let those people move back in. Like, they didn't. They changed it so, like, all right, now it won't be as bad. But now all those people in Denver just for money, just so they can have these little towns with their food shops and their beer tastings and And then they have like all these things too, like all the billboards out in Philly and stuff talking about, like for hunger, the people, they'll stand with the buckets to feed people, the homeless, for Thanksgiving or whatever. And it's just like, why is there not fruit trees everywhere?
Right.
like what in the madness? Like at what point don't we realize that if someone cared about hunger, their gardens and everything in every block and the fruit trees, like all, and they'll be like, oh, well, someone had this argument with me. They said, oh, trees don't grow out of cement. There's a tree like in between everything in Philly, like in the center city. There's still a tree right here, just in the cement.
Yeah. Well, then that gets into just the whole how wrong these urban centers and cities that are made out of concrete are in the first place.
Yeah.
Totally, the whole design concept just wrong from the start.
Yeah.
But you know, that's another that's kind of another topic, but yeah.
Yeah, man. Because when I moved out here, because I was originally from Bethlehem area, and when I moved out here right outside of Philly, I really wanted to go help and give haircuts. I was trying to figure out, like, looking up how I could get like running water somehow to be able to shampoo hair and stuff, and be able to give some haircuts, just do whatever on my free time. Hand out apples, because me and my man Brian, we keep like extra apples and stuff, because there's always somebody somewhere that needs it, and we just pass them out as we're going to work, coming home from work, because there's just homeless people everywhere. And actually one time I didn't have any, and I had like a dish full of chopped up cucumbers and berries and stuff, and I said, I don't have anything, do you want this? And he was like, yeah. And he just was like, sure. And I scooped it out and gave it to him. And because a lot of people are like, oh, they just want drugs, they don't want food. And I'm like, everybody takes my food. There's not one person who ever passed and no, I don't want your apple, or I don't want your fruit. So it's messed up. But I can't, since the pandemic hit, I don't know if it was 2,000 some shootings. No, it's just this year. It's 2,000 shootings in Philly, I believe, in just 1 year since the year. Yeah, and lots of children are getting shot. Like, they just lighten up the street, and I wanted to go and just do hair, and it's just like, I can't. It's a mad, like, how is COVID though for your health, right? Oh, I said the word.
Yeah, that's all right. Well, my thing is too, like Brother Air said about AIDS, where's all the statistics of we should have dozens of people that they're finding in the alleys. Oh, so-and-so died of COVID. Oh, there's 30, 40 homeless people died tonight in an alley down on the street of COVID. You don't get more next to each other. I'm not hearing stories about that. All the people that I hear that are dying of this thing are end up in hospitals. They're not dying like at home. They're going, and there's a whole other discussion about what they do to you when you show up. That's helping to cause some of these things, which I guess we probably can't talk about that either. But that's a good. Yeah, just think about that. It's like, oh, if that was so for that lady that wanted to go cough on everybody or whatever, she should love this. She should think that, all these folks will just be dead in a week. Well, they're not. They're still here, and they're still looking for the heroin and crack and whatever it is that's happening out here for the folks that's into that part. But
yeah, and that goes way past Kensington, man. Like, there's people sleeping with them tarts over them, lamped out right over like where the heat, the steam and stuff comes out. It's crazy. It's a real free for all out here. It's
and when it gets sad. And then when it gets like real cold, when it starts getting down into the 30s and the 40s, and these folks are, because that's the one thing it was interesting going to. In Miami was it was like, because every city has homeless folks, and it was actually kind of tidy. The places I went, and maybe I didn't go everywhere, so maybe there are some places that's looking. I didn't see anything that looked like that down there, but it was like tidy. The homeless encampments, they kind of had it kind of hooked up, and I was like, okay, this is different than this. It's like,
well, I kept saying if the inoculations and like we get forced, I'm like, we have to kind of just start thinking about getting down south.
Oh yeah,
like, because even when you come, so we're on South Beach, like you come off the beach, there's showers right there. Like you can make it work down there. Like it could get brutally cold up here, and then it's like, but so you got your showers, you can make it you can make it work down south if worst came to worst, you know?
Yeah, yeah, right, right. I mean, those are the plans, you know, the exit strategies and the
Yeah.
emergency plans that
My
you
friends
gotta
all have
have.
like, oh, like meet us here. Like my one friend's husband, he's all, but I'm like thinking like I gotta go down south. Like I don't know what. I always think like hopefully.
I mean, I even look because my plans. I even get to a point where I'm like, okay, if the gas, if
Oh
there's a
yeah.
if the gas shortage, if there's no gas left, I calculated how long it'd take on bike, just going down. Like, okay, let me just have my
Yo, I
little
didn't think of
backpack.
that because bikes. I should get bikes.
Mm,
So my daughter she was always so scared to ride a bike, and
mm.
when she was little, the one neighbor kid went flying off he was a nut, and he went like speed and flew off of his handlebars and like smashed his whole face up. So ever since then, she wouldn't get on the bike. She was scared, and everyone's like, "You got to teach her." And I'm like, "Yeah, but she's already setting herself up for like a crash, and she gets all scared, so she's going to crash." So I was just like, she go on her own good time, and she did. She learned how to ride a bike last year with my mom,
Yeah.
and so now she's all. So we've been saying like, "Oh, I need to get a bike," but because we'll walk with her, and she rides her bike everywhere or whatever, and she'll ride bikes with my mom, but now I'm like, "Oh, I do need a bike, don't I?" You're right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Yep.
For real though.
That's the direction is going in.
Mm.
So yeah, so the final thing, so tell us a little bit about your love of dance, as that's one thing in the Mucusless Diet Healing System that Arnold Ehret mentions as one of the perfect exercises is dance. Dancing and sort of a, you know, expression of the physical humanity. So tell us a little bit about that and how that's played a role in your life and your transition.
All right. So dance has saved, let me just tell you that dance has saved my life to the fullest. From when I was little, I would dance in my room. I always had like, just like hiding up in my room, away from everybody. I didn't have a TV in my room or anything, but I would turn on like Power 99, and I had like the tape thing, and I would record, like they would put on a new song or something, and something would come out and it would be so good. Like I know Maya was out at that point, and my mom, like I said, was in a blues band. So sometimes I hear in the basement, she'd be playing around like, you know, funk stuff and everything. And I'd be in my room moving and dancing. And I just fell in love with it from an early age on, because my mom was in a band, but like my family, like my dad played drums, my uncle played bass. So there was just always music going on. And I'd find me down there when I was like 4, just jamming with them, grab the mic or whatever. And it really kept me going. And I'd say, I remember I went to like a house party in like high school, and then I found reggae, and I started finding like things. Oh my God, the reggae hit, and I was just moving, and it started, you know, coming to a point where I would just try to escape. Like if my friends were doing something or going to a movie, like, I had to be somewhere there was music. Like, where's the music? I need to see it. And what was good, you know, I had a lot of traumas, but my parents always raised me on live, real music. So like, real thankful for that, you know. The horns, the guitar, the drums, just like actually being a part of that was so good. So once I had my daughter, boom, right to bands. Here's a band, and you know her, she's like tiny, and I'll take her little arms and we're moving and grooving. So I was actually a dancer at a club for quite some time. And although people would say, you know, there's a lot of ways you can look at it, it was like a go-go bar or whatever. I got to make my own hours. I was in control of my own thing at the same time. So I think about me in the mucusless diet now, wanting to live a dream. I would love to share dance and movement of healing is the dream in a healing way. So if you think about, like I was saying, like a beastly, dark way that, you know, I guess that's where I was at the go-go bar dancing. So it's like, how can I, but I was doing it. I was doing the living, you know, the movement, but I wasn't doing it in a beautiful manner, which I feel like sensuality and women, there's this power in us that we have, and it's not in a beastly sense that the world makes us out to be. And if we could tap into this fire and be free with it in a tribal manner, that it could awaken and empower women in such a way, instead of make them look, you know, like someone you throw money at or something, but instead it would be like, no, this is my fire, this is my energy. And I dance, I make sure that my daughter's dancing, and the lymph system is like a real big thing. And that thing doesn't move unless you get moving. So it's It's been I've tried yoga and I've done yoga things, but I can't really sit still with it. So movement and flowing, it's more of like a dance yoga, has really, really gotten like my joints. I have really achy and stiff joints. I've been diagnosed with rheumatoid arthritis that I don't know, because like the whole medical thing, like what do you know? But I do
Right.
wake up really stiff and achy, and it's if I don't keep moving, it gets a lot worse. So it's like I could still be eating fine and great, you know what I mean? But my joints still get all locked up. And I think if you don't know and you're not inspired and you're feeling stuck, that the best thing you could do is is put on some music and move around. And I love this video because like at the end, because we were dancing for so long before I popped this on.
Mhm.
And I'm like jumping and I'm like, all right, I'm done. And she's like, just roll with me. And I'm like, all right. It's like, as simple as this at the end of that, like get on your head, roll around, and just get moving.
Yeah.
Yeah, see right there, that's when she's just like, no. Yeah, I had for a while like the hashtag, the Dani Lucky G Lightning Show. We would get wild on that thing.
That's cute.
And then Instagram kept like, yeah, I'm like, all right, I'll roll. Yeah. Because there's in those moments, I think too, because I do the meditation and all that stuff, but in these moments you're not in your mind and you're free. And there's times that when I was younger, I mean, yeah, because again, you're like, all right, like I go to the club or bar by myself and I just start dancing and people be like, who are you here with? Like, I'm like myself, but even, because this is where I was living. This is what was happening, but it was saving my life to just find somewhere to move and dance and be free as hell. And, now I'm hoping to be able to like find and express myself, in a healthy environment of these ways. But the dance always brought me back to sanity. I don't know what I would have did without it. My sister like played instruments, I had friends who like did sports. They were really involved in things. And I think about the movie Flashdance, where she's like wants to be a dancer. She's just like teaching herself. And then she goes in there into the dance school or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's how I feel. Like I was never authentically trained, a real dancer, but my soul is a dancer.
Yeah.
Yeah. And like just don't stop moving, man. Everyone's got a beat, a groove of some sort.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And even if you think you're not moving right, just who cares? Move. Feels good.
Right.
Yeah.
And then everybody, so the poll is for exercise and dance, right?
Yeah.
People don't understand that.
Yeah. So okay, so the poll, I feel like everybody should have one. So now the world has made it out to be this like dark thing, right? But it doesn't have to be that way. It can be empowering. It can be awesome, amazing. So they have a lot of like pole classes and pole fitness, things of that nature. So when you're dancing, you're working out your arms, you're going upside down. It's so fun. It's just like you feeling like you're out in the jungle somewhere and you're just having the time of your life. Yes. And it doesn't have to be, you know what I mean? Like I'm not in a dark bar, like it doesn't have to be what it is. And it's becoming such a movement. They're actually trying to push to get in the Olympics, which they were to get it into the Olympics. And these videos I watched. So COVID with the mask thing, I haven't been able to take any classes, and a lot of the moves, you need someone there because like the one move, like if my ankle would be like this and I just tilted a little bit, I could fall right on my head. So there's a lot of things you got to actually have training with, which kind of stinks because I just want to everywhere because I'm
Are they all all the schools or the places they're all like you have to wear a mask while you're
because it's all in the city. So where I was from, there was one like 10 minutes away from where I used to live, but that's like 2 hours from here, and I'm sure they wouldn't, like things are a lot lenient over there. But when you go into Philly, forget, like when I walk in Philly, like everyone has a mask on in the street. And even what are you doing? Like you're taking a walk, like everyone. Yeah, some scary stuff. But yeah, don't be scared of the pole. Climb on it. You get strong. You get so strong because you're just
it takes lifting. A lot of strength. Yeah,
you're lifting all your body weight and everything, and it's just so much fun. And you can like swing around and kick things. It's so much fun. Yeah, just like you're flying. But yeah. So the dream is actually I'm trying. So for the last like year or so, I've been trying to make a workout, like not Zumba, but in that kind of manner. So it would be like a workout class, because I was trying to figure out where I could rent space to start teaching the pole, but then COVID and all that happened. So a woman, more like an empowering woman, a sensual dance, but fitness at the same time, and to get you moving, because a lot of these classes are like, it's just not, I don't know, I wouldn't say it's not fun, but what was the dance thing back in the day in like the 70s where like everybody would clap and they danced on a line?
Well, different line. It was a bunch of line dances.
No, like what was that? It was that show that used to be on. They had like good soul music.
Oh, the Soul Train.
Yeah. And then everybody starts
everybody.
and someone wants to move down the line.
Yeah.
In the workout classes, when I make this, that's what's happening at the end of every class. We're gonna we all hype each other up.
Yeah.
So that's
I wonder, the kids still do that at dancing? Because we actually did that in the 90s. We would do, because we had the Soul Train line, and we would, everybody would line up. Right? Yeah.
After that, you're like, what? So like imagine, because like, you're a mom and say you don't want to drink, or if you're doing the mucusless thing, or you're just like a regular mom who like, you're not getting dressed up and you're not going out dancing, and you like, you kind of just, I feel like you come to my class and you let loose, and then you hype you up, and then when you leave, you just have this energy that like, you got it, girl, you got it,
Yeah.
And then that's what I'd like to give people. Also, that's where you push on all the mucusless and push.
Yeah. Well, that sounds like a Miami class, like down there. The folks down there is open to that,
Yes, I like that. That's where I'm trying to get that way. I put to Miami so many times now, because I just bought a plane ticket for the end of January, because I'm just like, I got to get back. To be in the water, and like, oh my God, we were down there in the summer, and I literally would get up, go down there, be in the water, go get a smoothie, come back in the water till the sun went down. Like, I wouldn't leave the water. So it felt so good.
Yeah. And then the plant-based things, a lot of raw food folks down there, vegan. You can actually eat. Place, like, you can find places to eat, even if you're on the Mucusless diet. There's a couple like, oh, I'm surprised. Okay, actually have things that I could eat here. Okay, and so that's kind of like that's a lot of us are looking south. We're looking south at the possibilities, and that seems to be the one state where folks are, at least there's a little political resistance.
That's what I keep thinking too. I'm like, at least something's happening there.
Yeah.
People, and I'm telling you, there's something about that sun that I don't know what's happening over in California. The sun ain't hitting them right, but
yeah,
there's something about like the sun that like just makes you want to be healthier. Like, you just can't help it. And the ocean water, like, people drink, people act the fool, and then they get in that ocean, they wonder why they feel better being all crazy at the beach, but not when they're at home. There's magic in that salt water. Miami, Florida is the place. Heck yeah. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, there's definitely some stuff going on down there. That's interesting.
Yeah, to say the least.
Yeah. So, all right, it has been wonderful having you on the program today. Everybody give Dani a round of applause. I always act like this is like a live show, but they do it in the comment section. And so I really thank you so much for just opening up. And I know your story is going to really help a lot of people, a lot of folks I know there's a lot of folks that watch that don't say anything or don't comment, and but they watch and they're looking for just inspiration and help. And I know that, your story is going to really touch a lot of people. And so I appreciate you coming on here and sharing so much with us today.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm glad it worked out. And to anybody, I hope if anybody that I can inspire, just know that it doesn't matter if you're perfect. Like I said before, I just want to reach out that you don't have to be perfect. Just keep messing up. As long as you're trying and you keep going back, the body will do it for you. And it's okay, because we weren't here. It's not like we were fed all this fruit and we just like turned a blind eye. Like, it's ourselves. It's deep. And that, I mean, anybody, you got my Instagram now that wants to message me or reach out. I'm here. I've been through stuff, and I'm somehow still here. And if you need help, just reach out, because if my story can help somebody, I mean, thank God I lived it then, you know?
Yeah. Yep. And that's it at Dani Lucky. That's for the IG. And so all right. Well, we will wrap up today's program. And like we said, we had a little bit of a late start, but I knew that once we got rolling, everything would be great. And so one last time, I want to thank the sponsors of this show, NordVPN. Again, you should have a VPN. If you don't have one, I definitely encourage you to use our link, because that's a way that you can help out the program, the show, and I only get behind products that I actually really believe in and use myself. So everybody, keep on cleaning yourself up. Keep on doing your enemas, cleaning yourself out, and and do what you need to do to make your plans. We got to get into this survivalist mentality, this prepper mentality. We got to be ready. The supply chain issues. It's only gonna get crazier. People are worried about, I can't buy presents for Christmas, and this is like, you need to worry about having some food. when all the electricity goes, you need a plan. When the electricity goes and the gas is gone, you need to have a little plan together. And so that's something that I encourage you to do. So anyway, I thank you so much for tuning in, and until next time, peace, love, and bread.
We are mucus free. 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 We are mucus free.